Now to a special report on the Kavanaugh fight. Let's begin with a quote. "The time for endless delay and obstruction has come to a close." Are those Obama's words? Republicans obstructed his nominee. No hearing for 293 days for Merrick Garland, who was a respected judge in the D.C. Circuit, the same court that Brett Kavanaugh serves on. But the quote that I just read you, of course, is not from Obama. It's from Mitch McConnell, who at 85 days into Kavanaugh's process, with 2 sets of hearings, says there's too much obstruction. McConnell trying to turn his team into the victim of obstruction. Now, the last Supreme Court nominee from another party, Garland, waited more than triple the amount of time that it took for Mitch McConnell to get to this point. This hypocrisy is quite blatant.
Let's let the American people decide. The Senate will appropriately revisit the matter when it considers the qualifications of the nominee the next president nominates, whoever that might be. This is a nomination that deserves to move forward, and that is precisely, Mr. President, what is happening. I think it's safe to say there will not be hearings or votes. They're committed to delaying, obstructing, and resisting this nomination with everything they've got. One of my proudest moments is when I looked at Barack Obama in the eye and I said, "Mr. President, you will not fill this Supreme Court vacancy."
There's that proud moment. And the time for endless obstruction, McConnell says, must end today. This isn't just about Trump, who's upended all sorts of traditions. And it's not only about McConnell, who may argue that as party leader, he's got to do partisan stuff. If the rest of the Senate's serious about protecting an independent court, those other senators have to stand up to the partisan people in their ranks. And if Lindsey Graham was historically accurate about one thing in his plaintive battle cry last week, it was that, yes, some senators on the committee have tried to do that and put judicial independence above party politics. But that's changing right now. Consider how a Republican who once ran this committee, Orrin Hatch, who had said there was no question Garland should be confirmed to the Supreme Court, is now changing in this political moment.
We're not going to move or even discuss the qualifications of any nominee until after the presidential election.
The goal is delay. Nothing new to most of us. It should be clear now to all Americans that Democrats are engaged in a coordinated effort to stop Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation by any means possible. The driving objective here is not the truth, but politics.
You could judge for yourself whether Hatch is being consistent. He did once argue that I mentioned that Merrick Garland's credentials couldn't even be questioned, and that was before Obama announced that he agreed with Orrin Hatch, which apparently made Orrin Hatch disagree with himself. This is 1997.
To my knowledge, no one, absolutely no one, disputes the following. Merrick Garland is highly qualified to sit on the D.C. Circuit. His intelligence and his scholarship cannot be questioned.
Then there's Lindsey Graham invoking political calculus as part of the standard for how the Senate should do its advise and consent. In fact, he used the president's favorite medium to accuse Democrats of seeking a political outcome, keep the seat open, hope they win the midterms. Pathetic. You may notice the hypocrisy. It matches the exact McConnell strategy for Garland that Republicans used. And the public evidence suggests that what Graham wrote there is also inaccurate, because Dr. Ford tried to speak out before Kavanaugh was picked, not part of some Kavanaugh conspiracy theory where the Clintons are rigging the timing for the midterms. You can judge for yourself.
Just had a good meeting with Judge Garland. He's honest and capable. His reputation's beyond reproach. I've told him that I believe that the Scalia vacancy should be filled by the next president.
I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy.
When you complain about Garland, it's the arsonist complaining about the fire, as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't bother me one bit.
Let me tell you, my Democratic friends, if this is the new norm, you better watch out for your nominees.
You better watch out for your nominees, except they already did that to your nominees. Now, on substance, the questions here are whether new information in Kavanaugh's responses should imperil the nomination. There's a higher standard for judges. Their word is bond. And Senator Graham from the 90s thought any kind of lying or perjury is unacceptable for a judge.
I have argued to you that when you found that a judge was a perjurer, you couldn't in good conscience send him back in a courtroom, because everybody that came in that courtroom thereafter would have a real serious doubt.
A real serious doubt. Now, whether Kavanaugh is promoted or goes back to the D.C. Circuit, those doubts may remain. The larger risk here is not just these tone-deaf threats of payback by warriors on the partisan field, but the prospect of having a nominee publicly mislead the Senate under oath, showing his word is not bond, and then getting this promotion anyway. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.